What will the future of Gear 2nd and 3rd be? Will they be endangered pretty soon due to their lack of power in the new world? Find out here. With the introduction of Gear 4th, we have unfortunately been met with several problems. Number 1, a huge gap has now been formed between the previous gears, Gear 2nd and 3rd, which Doflamingo calls weak. And secondly, Gear 2nd is used a lot more regularly without any significant drawback. It kind of wears him down, but barely affects him like it did pre-time skip. And third, now people will expect a reliance on Gear 4th instead of the previous gears. Luffy's enemies will only be stronger than Doflamingo from here on out, so if Gear 2nd and 3rd didn't work on him, they will now become useless, I believe. So with that all in mind, I have come up with a solution that can make a lot of sense. What if he improves Gear 2nd and 3rd? Now this could make a lot of sense because the gap between them is too significant to ignore. This could somewhat close the gap while still making them weaker than Gear 4th, but not by a huge amount like it currently is. But how can he improve them? Now I think this is very doable and will more than likely be implemented by Oda at some point, and here's my ideas on what he might use. Now in cars, along with standard gears, there is something called Overdrive, or O/D. And when you put the shifter in a car into drive, you prevent the transmission from shifting into any higher than 3rd gear. So you're keeping it from going into overdrive. Now in a way, Gear 2nd and 3rd have been made pointless by the addition of Gear 4th, so maybe this function will allow Luffy to improve his lower gears to make them a lot more effective, being able to get closer to the higher gears. So while he will still use standard Gear 2nd and 3rd, the overdrive feature might be when he wants to advance a gear against specific opponents to use it to its full potential. Now for Gear 2nd overdrive, Luffy now only pumps his arm when needing to speed up his blood flow. It seems to just put his body in a higher demand for nutrients in exchange for better performance. So the idea I propose is that he will pump both arms and direct his blood flow straight to his heart, causing it to expand rapidly. Because he's putting a demand on his heart instead of his blood vessels, this will make his blood go even faster and more consistently, putting his body on an even higher level than Gear 2nd. Here's my concept art for it. His body will turn blue instead of pink due to more oxygen being used up. And when blood lacks oxygen, it will begin to turn blue. So this could cause his body to turn bluish. It could also be due to increased pulmonary circulation. And since Luffy is strong, he can resist it and uses temporary bursts of power to gain more speed and strength for a short period of time. Some other benefits are regeneration due to the increased clotting of platelets in the blood, and nutrients in cells acting as healing agents will arrive much quicker to repair the wound. It could also be Luffy's version of Doflamingo's string repair, and increased speed of the cardiovascular system will also put a higher demand on other organ systems like the nervous and endocrine system. A faster nervous system will allow him to react much faster than normal, and the endocrine system can release hormones such as adrenaline, which would be a homage to Ivankov's tension hormone he used on him in Marineford. Now on top of improved speed and power, he may also use an improved version of Red Hawk. He may use hotter blue flames, which would complement his already bluish body, and this can be done by using higher speeds, which would create more friction for flames. And if you guys remember correctly, Rayleigh was able to match Kizaru in speed due to observation haki, so Luffy may be able to emphasize observation haki in this form to improve speed even more. Now for Gear 3rd Overdrive, the interesting part of Gear 4th is that Luffy starts off by using Muscle Balloon, and then converts it into a full body mode. So doing the same thing for Bone Balloon, is it really far-fetched to say that he could have a full body Gear 3rd? Now this won't make him into a giant, but maybe a fairly large size like Kaido or Whitebeard. And the activation process could involve him blowing into both thumbs at once and inflating his whole skeletal system. Bone is very durable, unlike Muscle, so while Gear 3rd normally uses a large amount of power, a full body Gear 3rd will also bring defense to the table. Doflamingo was able to kick Luffy's main body when he used Grizzly Magnum, which hurt him. If Luffy inflates the bones in his torso, he may also be able to absorb the impact much easier than before. Now here is my concept art for Gear 3rd Overdrive. As you can see, it looks a bit wacky, but he will look a lot more rigid than Gear 4th due to inflating bones instead of muscle. This form may also emphasize armament hockey in order to reinforce his bones and make him more durable and powerful than usual. We also know that armament hockey can mold Luffy's body by contracting and expanding, as shown in Gear 4th. Doflamingo said that this was a combination of rubber and armament. So maybe molding his bones using armament hockey will allow him to create a variety of large weapons out of his bones, such as a flail or giant hammer. Many of Luffy's attacks are named after strong animals, so he may be able to convert the air into his torso, making him look like a shield to defend against powerful attacks with armament. Now this would be an improvement of Gamu Gamu no Shield and renamed Turtle Shield. Because of the high demand on his bones, there will be some kind of drawback, obviously. Of course, we may see a new version of Chibi Luffy, or maybe he will just get his hockey drained like in Gear 4th. But as for Gear 4th Overdrive, you may be interested in the idea I came up with at the end of my Gear 4th Beast Forms theory, so check that out when you get the chance. I will soon release my idea for Gear 5th Overdrive, so look forward to that. And tell me what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys later.